Hey guys, it's Chris here. Real excited to do a video for you guys. I haven't done a video in quite some time. Get to come down here and do a lot of tuning videos, but I have the pleasure of going through some of the 2019 PSE bows that are new for the year, that are just probably going to some of the shops. And so I'm here with my good friend David Alligood from PSE, and he always lets me get a good look at these bows and run them through their paces and shoot them and get my overall impression, which I really am appreciative of David letting me do that. And I always try to be fair and honest on these reviews. I think a lot of guys that know me know that I'm going to tell it like it is and be fair, and hopefully it helps a lot of guys. So rather than do a video on every individual bow that I have in here, I'm going to kind of go through these quickly and just make one video and go through them all, because some of the technology is I carry over from 2018 with the Evolve cam. And so I'm just going through some of the changes and then my impression of the bows and the camo finishes and some of the things that I've liked. So with that, let's jump right into it so the video is not too long. First up I have here is the new Evoke 31. This is an upgrade to the Evolve 31 that was a really good seller last year for PSE. This is probably my favorite bow that I've shot out of all the bows, and I was kind of surprised by that, and I'll touch on that. But this is going to make one heck of a sweet hunting bow for everyone. Some of the changes to the bow that they've made for this year, you guys can see, is this bridged, this cage riser here. It really makes the riser stiff, and has taken it. Just a little bit of vibration that might have been in last year's bow is almost gone. This was probably the deadest bow that I shot. This short riser with these two double cages has to be extremely stiff, because there's almost no vibration at all out of this bow. One other thing that they changed for 2019 is the 1/4 inch axle, which I think is a huge upgrade. I can tell you that I took some pictures and I looked at the cam lean on every one of these bows. Did not change any shims around, didn't do a full tune, but they're the straightest cams that I've seen of any of the Evolve bows. I couldn't find one bow at full draw that had any lean. I think the 1/4 inch axle is probably the reason for that. And again, once I get my hands on one of these on my own, I can do some more in-depth tuning and talk about that. But the axle is a huge upgrade from PSE, so glad they made that change. Hopefully you guys can see this camo on this bow. I don't know if the phone's going to get right in on it, but this is the Cryptic Altitude, which looks amazing on this bow. So it's a nice upgrade. The color fusion process that they just went to this year is easily the best in the business. So that is another big step for PSE that no one can complain about. I think, you've heard some guys in the past say, no, I don't like the finishes or maybe some of the patterns, but there's nothing to complain about this year with the addition of some of the camos, and I'm going to go through those. But this Evoke 31, I'm going to reference my notes because I got a lot of stats here. I hate to do this, but I didn't memorize them, so sorry. This bow was set at 61 pounds, 28 inch draw length, and it has a 5 7/8 inch brace height, so right at 6 inches. This bow's backed out a little bit, so it was dead nuts at 6. The IBO on this bow on the tag is 342, and it IBO'd through my chronograph at 344. It shot that at 61 pounds, a 28 inch arrow. My arrow was 350 grains. It shot 303 feet per second, which in my calculator was a 344. So this one actually performed a little faster than the tag, which is sweet. But this is going to be a great hunting bow for really anyone. There's the draw length still goes out for even the longer draws, and I encourage everyone to at least give this bow a try. You may say, hey, I'm not a short axle to axle guy. There's nothing about this bow that's like a short axle to axle. So that said, I'm going to move on just so we don't get too long. And the bow that I was really excited about shooting, and it's the exact same configuration that I would want it in, and this is the new Evoke 35. And this is the Evoke 35 with the SE cam, which is the small Evolve cam. This bow comes with two cam options. It comes with the regular EC cam and the SE. And even for my draw length, and I don't know what the exact spec is that the SE can, but I think it'll even go up to about a 30 and a half inch draw. It gives you a little more speed. The cam's just a little smaller, which is really efficient for guys like me. I'm at about a 29 inch draw. This would be the cam I would put on this bow. It's not stiff by any means, but it still picks up some speed over the EC. So this was a bow I was really excited about shooting. As you guys can see, the riser on this bow is phenomenal. I love this long straight riser. These shorter limbs that PSE went to this year, that was one of the big changes that they made. I didn't mention that on the Evoke 31, but these limbs are a little shorter, a little more parallel than last year's bow, which again probably takes out the vibration. But this is a really nice bow. This is going to be a great bow for anybody that wants a 3D bow and a hunting bow to do double duty. If you're a one bow guy, then this is going to be your option, I think. This to me is still not too long for a hunting bow because the riser is so long and it just doesn't feel like a hunting bow. When actually David pulled it out of the bag, I said, "Is that the 31?" He said, "No, that's a 35." And I said, "Wow, that's sweet." But again, this bow, it's got the double cage risers. It's extremely stiff. There was no lean on this bow as well. When I shot the bow, the only thing that I could feel was just a tad kick just back towards me. It's not vibration. I basically shot every bow in this test with an open grip with nothing on, no strap or anything to see how each bow would react. And it just barely moved back just a little bit. And with a stabilizer, that would be completely gone. So again, this bow with the SE cam was one of my favorites. I think that a lot of people are going to say that's the bow for me to do a lot of things with. So I'm going to keep moving. Speed. Oh, sorry, I didn't go over the specs of this. Hate to do that to you guys, but no one's going to be mad. This bow was set at 57 pounds, 28-inch draw length. It has a 334 IBO rating, which it hit right on the money, and it shot a 350 grain arrow at 284 feet per second. So this bow has a 6.75 inch brace height, which is still a long brace height, and for it to produce those kind of speeds for a long axle to axle bow with a big brace height to shoot 334 is a really efficient cam. That's why I like this SE cam in this bow. Can't forget that. Oh, forgot again. Sorry, guys. This bow is actually in the Kuya Verde, which is probably my favorite pattern. I was really excited about this. The Kuya is obviously a popular brand, especially with Western hunters, but I'm a big fan of this Kuya pattern, and that would be my choice if I was going to make an order tonight. That's probably what I'm going with. So I forgot to mention that, but check this bow out in the pattern. Next up, you guys are going to be like, what color is that? And this is the new tan that came out this year. This is the 2019 Expedite. A lot of people are familiar with this bow from last year because it was probably the fastest, smoothest bow of any brand. Has a 352 IBO with the high let-off modules. You can do some module changes to get it up to close to 360, but this is the high let-off module. I'm not going to talk about this a long time because a lot of guys have shot this Expedite, but I'll go over the specs regardless. I just wanted to show you guys this bow so you could see this tan. I'm going to post some pictures as well on Archery Talk so you guys can see. But this Expedite was set on 62 pounds, 28-inch draw length, and with a 352 IBO rating, it shot 310 feet per second, which in my calculator was about a 350 IBO. But it is backed off a good bit as well, which, 2 feet per second I'm not going to squabble over. It probably hit dead nuts 352 when the bow is spec'd out exactly IBO specs. So check this tan out. If you like a cool bow, this could also be a good double duty bow for 3D. You could turn the poundage down and you don't have to have two bows. This tan is it would look really good in a cornfield or anywhere out west. It's a pretty sweet. Here's another new option this year for PSE. Feel like we're just like a kid in a candy store in here going through these bows, but this was a new option. A lot of you guys may have seen the Stealth bow from last year, which was the new riser design. This is the Stealth 35, which is the longer axle-to-axle bow. Last year's bow was a 33-inch axle-to-axle, and this bow is obviously 2 inches longer. I did some measuring on this bow to compare it to a couple of my Carbonair 34s that I've been hanging on to because I really like those bows. It's actually the same limb that's in the Carbonair 34, and this riser is just a hair longer than the 34 riser, which is really nice. When David gave me this bow, he said, hey, it's got a little bit of vibration. I said, well, that's to be expected from a 3.5 pound bow. But I made a couple of adjustments to the string stop, and that really was it. And it was gone. And I was like, well, that was all that was needed to get the little bit of vibration out of this bow. And I really like this bow. Again, if I was going to go carbon again, this would be how I would set it up. This is the long axle-to-axle 35 with the smaller cam, the SE cam. And again, this cam is a little faster than the EC, but it's it's a little stiffer. It comes at a price to get the speed, but it's not harsh by any means. It is smooth all the way back, and it's be a great option if you're a Western hunter or you're like me. I like a carbon bow because I like to add more weight to my stabilizers. and that helps me as my hold. You know, this would be a good option, and this could be the bow that I end up going with. I don't know, because I really like this bow. I don't really, know what else to add other than, if you're a long axle to axle guy and you want a carbon bow, this could be the option. So check this out. I want to make one comment too. I've read a lot this past year about this handle, about the grip, and I didn't touch on the other bows. The grip on this Carbon Stealth is very narrow. I measured the width here, which a lot of people complained about compared to the old Carbon Air 34, and it's exactly a 1/4 inch wider. And that was needed to be done to get rid of the bridge riser, to stiffen up the riser some. But I can't notice that at all. If you shoot with the proper grip, and I shoot basically with an open hand like this off my thumb pad, then there's no way you can feel this width on this grip unless you're holding it like this. And I'm not shooting it that way. So I read some people that didn't like that, but there's nothing to complain about if you're pushing the bow from behind properly like this. So just want to throw that in. Thank you, David.
Mm-hmm.
This is a cool little bow that I really didn't know anything about until David brought it over, and this is the new 2019 PSE Drive 3B. And I was like, what's the 3B stand for? And he's like, it's a 3-track binary. And I was like, well, let's take a look at it. And it's really similar to the Evolve cam, other than it doesn't have the quad track wrapped on each side. It's basically got 2 take-ups on one side and the normal track, so it's a 3-track binary. And when I pulled this bow back, I was like, it feels exactly like an Evolve 31 from last year, which, was one of the smoothest bows. And when I looked at the cam lean at full draw, I was expecting, since this is not the quad track, for this to have some movement, and it had no movement. And it was probably the straightest cam of all the bows that I shot. And I was like, this is pretty cool. So we did take some pictures of this. And for the money, David, what's the price on this bow going to be?
$6.99 in the package, as you see it, with the Pro Drop Away rest, micro adjustable sight. $6.99, and
yeah, for
85% let off.
For $6.99, this is going to be a hard bow to beat. And last year they had the Response, which I hadn't shot a lot. This is a better bow than that, in my opinion. The Response was really nice because it had the Evolve cam, but this bow, for the size and the way this bow feels at the shot, I think it's just a notch better than the Response. Not that it was a bad option, but this is going to be a sweet little hunting bow that a lot of people say, for the money, this is what I want. I'll go over the specs of this bow because it's impressive as well. So this bow is set at 60 pounds, 29-inch drawing, which is about my draw. It has a 331 IBO, and it shot a 350 grain arrow at 296, which is, according to my calculator, was 331 IBO. So the brace height on this bow is the longer brace height. For that kind of brace height and that type of draw, this is a really nice package. The grip on this bow, if anyone complains about this, they may need to have their grip examined, because the handle on this bow is so narrow. I don't know how you could torque it unless you're just gorilla gripping it, but it's got a super nice slim grip. The riser is very minimal. I really like this bow. I think people are going to be kind of blown away with the price point as well. So that's the Drive B.
Mm-hmm.
In closing, probably just go through my thoughts just on the shot. Probably my favorite, again, was the Evoke 31. I just feel like for a hunting bow and the type of speed that it produces, it's going to be a knockout. And people are going to ask me, and I know I'm going to get a ton of messages and say, is it an upgrade over the Evolve 31? And I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be like, well, the Evolve 31 was a great bow. I loved it. Is it an upgrade? Yes. Is it worth to go buy a new one? That's a decision you're going to have to make. And I think it is, because the riser is stiffer, and I didn't see any cam lean from the new axles. There may not be as many problems that you have to shim the bow as much. I don't think you will with the new axle upgrade. I really think that it will probably be worth it. And I was mentioning to David earlier, one of the things I like that I think PSE has over all the competition this year, and I don't want to sound like I'm just the biggest fanboy sitting here, but I really do think this is, I think that there's a combination of bows for just about anyone. Because you hear a lot of times people say, oh, I would love that bow if it had this. Well, guess what? Now they have a long axle-to-axle bow with 2 cam options. You can have a little faster cam or a smoother cam. Now they have a shorter bow, that's a smooth speed bow that's not a short brace height, that doesn't have a stiff draw. The let off on all the bows was the biggest thing from last year. That carries over with the Evolve cam. So I really think that now with the addition of the longer bow, you have a longer carbon bow, and now we have more color options. There's pretty much an option that I think for everyone, and I think that they're going to be the talk of the industry again this year. And again, I mean, I know a lot of the bow manufacturers make good equipment, everyone these days, but there's a lot of different configurations that you can put these bows in, and to me that's a big plus. Is just being able to have different things to, you know, customize for each shooter. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope everyone will ask a question. I love doing these. I get a ton of questions, and I do this just because David lets me see these bows. I get to see them before a lot of people do, so he's good to me, and that's why I like to help a lot of guys and tune a lot of bows for a lot of folks online. So please ask questions if you have any, and I'll get to them as soon as I can. Thanks.